we're getting divorced. Get out." My husband, who had reserved a fancy restaurant to celebrate his mother's birthday, yelled at me as I arrived late. My mama's boy husband, who always put his mother first in everything, had always prioritized his mother over me. Just listen to me for a moment. I had only been helping a girl who had lost her wallet on the way. But my husband seemed unable to forgive me. At this point, I had no choice but to decide on divorce. However, a week later, "What are you doing here?" On the day I was finally about to be kicked out of the house, my husband turned pale and started trembling at the unexpected appearance of someone. I, at 30 years old, had married Justin, whom I met through an acquaintance a year ago. We were both considering marriage at the time, so our relationship progressed quickly. Above all, I felt reassured that he was a modest and serious person who treated me well. Since then, we had been living a modest but happy life, with me working as an office worker and my husband as a real estate salesman. However, I had one complaint about my kind husband. "Hey, did you buy something the other day? I noticed $1,000 was withdrawn from our account." "Oh, I bought a necklace. I found one that would suit Mom perfectly." Facing Justin's nonchalant attitude, I frowned while holding the bankbook. The only flaw I discovered in my husband after marriage was that he was what you'd call a mama's boy. Justin's parents divorced when he was young, and he grew up in a single-parent household. Perhaps because of this, even at his current age, Justin was still extremely attached to his mother. It would be endearing if he just cared for his mother, but he prepared expensive gifts several times a month and prioritized his mother even over important anniversaries with me. His devotion to his mother was interfering with our daily life. In the early days of our marriage, he even complained about my cooking, saying, "This doesn't taste like Mom's cooking." Moreover, "Another gift for your mother. Didn't you just buy her a bag recently?" "It's my money, so I can do what I want with it, can't I?" "But don't you think you're spending too much?" Listen, my mom is a great person who raised me alone. This much gratitude is only natural. My husband, enraged by my caution, stood up shouting. Then he grabbed his bag and stormed out of the house. He's run off to his parents' house again. Watching his retreating figure, I sighed deeply. My usually calm husband would fly into a rage about anything related to his mother, even if it was just a small piece of advice. It wasn't uncommon for us to argue and for him to run back to his parents' house. Fortunately, it seemed that even his mother was getting tired of Justin's behavior, and she would usually call to apologize a few minutes later. It's good that my mother-in-law is on my side, but I wish something could be done about this. As I put away the bankbook, I reflected on the days I had spent with Justin. If it weren't for his troublesome mama's boy tendencies, he would be a really good person. Besides, we were still in our first year of marriage, just starting out as a couple. I was thinking of gradually persuading Justin to become more independent, with the help of his mother. However, just then, a decisive incident occurred that would create a rift in our marital relationship. It happened as his mother's birthday was approaching. We need to celebrate Mom's birthday in grand style. Justin, of course, couldn't keep quiet about his mother's birthday celebration, and he enthusiastically reserved a dinner at a high-end restaurant to celebrate. His mother's birthday fell on a weekday, but Justin had taken the day off to celebrate his mother all day long. On the other hand, I was in the middle of a busy period at work and couldn't possibly take a day off. So, I pushed back against his pressure and decided to only join for dinner. You should just take the day off work for such a special celebration. That's not possible. I truly think it's a joyous occasion for your mother, and I'll celebrate properly. Justin didn't seem completely satisfied until the end, but there was no helping it. However, on the day of the celebration, as I was heading to the restaurant after finishing work, an unexpected incident occurred. As I was walking quickly, not wanting to be late, I heard what sounded like sobbing. Is that a little girl? Surprised, I looked around and saw a girl, about 6 years old, crouched down by the roadside. I couldn't leave her crying like that, so before I knew it, I was calling out to her. What's wrong? Are you lost? No, that's not it. I lost my wallet. According to the sobbing girl's story, it seems she had an urgent need to take the train but had lost her wallet and was at a loss. I need to hurry. It was an important wallet my mom bought for me. Seeing the girl crying uncontrollably, I felt a tightness in my chest. I couldn't hear all the details, but it was clearly an urgent matter. However, if I just gave her money, she would still be worried about her precious wallet. All right. Use this to take the train. I'll look for your wallet. Give me a call when you've calmed down. After thinking it over, I took out $30 from my wallet and a business card with my contact information and handed them to the girl. Even though I had an urgent matter too, as an adult, I couldn't leave her like that. The girl looked at me with surprise at my sudden proposal. But, aren't you in a hurry? Go on, hurry. I pressed the money into the hesitant girl's hand and gave her a gentle push. She seemed to have made up her mind, and after a moment's hesitation, she bowed her head slightly. My wallet is pink. Thank you so much. Then the girl ran off towards the station. After seeing her off, I realized I would be late for the scheduled time and quickly tried to contact my husband. However, Justin didn't answer the phone, perhaps because he was on the move, so I had no choice but to leave a voicemail and start searching for the wallet. I have to search as much as I can for that girl's sake. And it seemed my thoughts were answered. Found it. This must be it. After about 30 minutes, I managed to find the wallet that had fallen into some bushes. I then rushed to the restaurant. However, being late for his precious mother's celebration seemed to be unforgivable to Justin. It's unbelievable that you didn't take the day off work, and on top of that, you're late. What's the meaning of this? As soon as he saw me arrive at the restaurant, he slammed the table with all his might, showing his anger. I'm sorry. There were some circumstances. I don't care about that. There shouldn't be anything more important than celebrating Mom's birthday. What should have been a joyous celebration turned into a disaster. Even when I tried to explain about leaving a voicemail and the circumstances, Justin wouldn't listen at all and just kept berating me one-sidedly. Neither I nor his mother could handle his rage, and in the end, we had to leave the restaurant. That's it, we're getting divorced. Get out of the house. Even after leaving the store, Justin continued to shout. Finally, his mother let out a deep sigh. She probably realized there was nothing to be done. She looked at me with a sad face and said, "I'm sorry. You should divorce my son." Until then, I had been thinking of trying to continue as a couple with Justin, but when I heard his mother's words, I suddenly felt a lump in my throat. No matter how good a person he might be at heart, this level of outburst was simply unacceptable. At this rate, even if we had children in the future, he would probably prioritize his mother over them. I myself felt I had reached my limit in continuing as a couple with such a person. I understand. Then let's end this. In the end, taking his mother's words to heart, I finally decided on divorce. After that, I left the still angry Justin to his mother and headed home alone. What should I do now? About the house from now on, explaining to my parents various procedures. Although I wasn't too shocked because it was my own decision, I was walking down the street in a half-dazed state due to the sudden turn of events. But at that moment, as if to encourage me, I received a phone call. Startled, I looked at my cell phone to see an unknown number displayed. Could it be that girl from earlier? Immediately guessing, I answered the phone. As I listened to the story, I found myself widening my eyes in surprise. I never dreamed at that moment that this phone call would greatly change my fate in the future. A week later, I was waiting for the moving truck in front of our house with Justin. After submitting the divorce papers, I had been making various preparations to live alone. Justin had been staying at his parents' house during that time, probably because he couldn't stand to see my face. However, he had returned home for the first time in a week, probably to mock me as I was finally leaving the house. I feel refreshed knowing you're finally leaving. I bet you'll be living in a rundown apartment from now on. That's a fitting punishment for neglecting my mother. I looked at him with pity-filled eyes as he looked down on me. I thought we had been living a smooth married life, but in his mind, I was probably nothing more than a great sinner who had hurt his mother. In the end, no matter what, his number one was always his mother. Of course, now that we're strangers, I have no intention of commenting on his thinking anymore. However, if Justin thought my future would be miserable, he was greatly mistaken. At that moment, I heard the sound of a car and quickly looked up. Soon, a moving truck and another luxury car parked in front of our house. "What's this car?" Justin immediately showed a puzzled expression. However, the moment he saw the person getting out of the luxury car, his face contorted. "Ha! Why are you here?" As he turned pale and started trembling, I quietly raised the corners of my mouth. Standing there were Emma, the girl who had lost her wallet that time, and her father, Mr. Wellington. "Thank you for that time." I heard the story. At Mr. Wellington's imposing words, Justin held his breath. After encouraging Emma to return to the car, I stood next to Mr. Wellington and faced Justin. I was surprised too. Who would have thought that the father of the girl I helped that time would be the president of your company? It turned out that the person who called me that time was Emma's father, who was also the president of the real estate company where Justin worked. When we learned each other's identities over the phone, we were surprised, but as we talked, I learned that at the time Emma lost her wallet, she was rushing from school to the hospital to be present for the birth of her little brother, which she had been looking forward to. The president was too busy to help at that time, but thanks to me, it seems Emma was able to be present for her mother's delivery, and he was very grateful to me. I was surprised when I heard that the one who helped my daughter was your wife. What a coincidence. At Mr. Wellington's words, Justin probably misunderstood that his wife was being praised. He started bowing to Mr. Wellington with a silly grin on his face. I didn't know that happened. Well, she is a capable wife. However, Mr. Wellington frowned at his attitude. Seeing Justin's shoulders suddenly twitch, I felt amused and decided to reveal everything. It's useless to act like a husband now. I've told him everything. Ha! What are you talking about? About the divorce. And the reasons for it, as well as your work attitude. He must have had some idea because when I playfully winked at him, he gaped and started sweating profusely. Actually, after that big fight, I had met Mr. Wellington in person once to return Emma's wallet. There, with a feeling of wanting to teach my husband a lesson, I had confided in Mr. Wellington about our marital situation. After listening to my story with a serious face, he then shared a concern of his own with me. You've been going out on sales calls more than others, but your performance hasn't been improving. I've actually been suspicious about that for a while. At the president's low voice, Justin's knees started shaking as he looked at me. When I heard this from the president, I had a hunch and immediately confirmed with his mother. Her words revealed an unbelievable truth. It seems he's been hanging around his parents' house outside his sales area during work hours, slacking off. Apparently, Justin had explained to his mother that he was allowed to visit home because he had a flexible work schedule and was performing well, and believe it or not, he had been meeting his mother during work hours. At this point, even as an ex-wife, there's no way to defend him. Not performing well, slacking off to meet with your mother secretly. I'll have to carefully consider your future treatment in the company. Your mother is also furious and says she's cutting ties with you. You'd better be prepared. At my and Mr. Wellington's words, Justin's face quickly turned blue. He must have felt extreme despair at the prospect of losing his job and, more importantly, his precious mother. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything from now on. Please, just don't fire me. Am I the only one you should be apologizing to? No, I've done wrong to my wife too. I'm sorry. Can't you persuade Mom for me? I'm begging you. Cornered by Mr. Wellington, Justin finally started prostrating himself on the asphalt. I looked down at his pathetic back of the head with a cold gaze. If he had changed his mind earlier and apologized, our marriage might have had a different ending. However, it was Justin himself who had thrown away his chances for redemption, ignoring the advice from me and his mother. It's all too late now. Learn from this and grow up quickly. In the end, I gave one last glare at him as he remained bowing, and left for my new home with Mr. Wellington. The last chance for Justin and me to reconcile had long passed. After that, due to his poor performance and the fact that he had been slacking off coming to light, Justin was fired from the company. Having lost his source of income, Justin immediately tried to rely on his mother, but his mother, fed up with his behavior, actually disowned him. Being rejected by his beloved mother must have been a punishment worse than anything else for him. And so, Justin has now lost his money, social credit, and family, and is said to be wandering the streets. Meanwhile, thanks to Mr. Wellington's arrangement, I'm enjoying a comfortable life in a spacious apartment that I'm renting at a great price. I've also become quite close with Emma. At this rate, I hope to spend happy days from now on.